Hi, I'm Lori Saturday Trask, and this is Lori Saturday Trask Live. We're here again with John Fyfe, Vedic Astrologer and Palmist. And we're just getting to know John a little bit. He's got a great palmistry workbook coming out very soon. And we're having the launch at Full Moon Books on May 19th at 1 to 4. And we're just trying to get to know what inspired John to write these books and what is your background. Because I know it's different than a lot of other astrologers and palmists that we know around. And we have a great group here and a lot of wonderful people here that are doing astrology and palmistry in Colorado. But what makes you different than them?
I guess, well, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
Everyone's, I think, different with the modalities that they have, and for me, I kind of fell into it when I was traveling into India at that time. I was studying some forms of spirituality, meditation, yoga, and I also had an importation business that had started a few years earlier, but I had this fascination with astrology, Vedic astrology. And so what made a difference, I guess, is not all astrologers study palmistry. And as I said earlier, I had studied palmistry about a year or so before astrology. And then again, Vedic astrology is quite different from Western astrology. And my sister, in fact, lives in India for many, many years and has, over those years, studied astrology, but not Vedic or Hindu astrology. She studies Western astrology. So,
And she lives in India.
yeah, and I live over in North America, and I study Vedic astrology.
The yin and the yang.
So, what makes it different? I guess everyone is unique, and I have kind of a knack for, comparing what I see in the handprint or the palm and what's in the chart. I put them both together, and something comes very strong with me how to read or interpret that information.
So you're trying to kind of say that you're intuitive with it as well.
Yeah.
That you know how to do it on paper, you know what the books say, but you also intuit a lot of your work.
Yes, I would have to say so. I've had clients call me up and say, that was really a good reading. It was a month later, and you were so right on about such an area. And I said, oh, look, I'm glad to hear that. And I'll start to look into the chart, peruse their chart, when they're on the phone or off the phone. I can't see what I had said. It's
and
not
you don't really remember
there.
it either.
No,
yeah.
At times. So obviously I've intuitive something with the planets. When you work with the planets' energies for many, many years, as I've done, then you start to kind of breathe with them. You start to feel what those energies are about.
I love that. I do. That is really cool. When you were studying, I have some questions about that. Like, was there anything kind of different about your study? Like any exercises maybe that your teachers did that were kind of out of the ordinary for kind of astrology or palmistry exercises?
Yeah, it was how to understand the planets. First in astrology, it was learning how to do the mathematical equation by hand of understanding the motion of the planets to get to the degree point. So we didn't use a computer program. So
you're really good at math.
Yes. It was use some logarithms actually.
Right. I could never do it. I could never ever do it.
So to do a chart like that would take about 2 hours.
Okay.
But then you would really understand, the teachings were that you would vibrate, you would understand actually the flow and the vibration or frequency of the planets. And then in palmistry, a teacher wanted me to get on buses or walk about, sit in restaurants, and watch the faces of people as they walked onto the bus or into the restaurant to mark down which planet was the leading force in their face.
Oh, can you talk about that for a minute? That sounds really interesting. That's kind of cool.
So yeah.
So what's my face? Tell me what my face is. You've never told me this before. I'm so excited.
Well, there's usually more than one planet that's leading. Sometimes it's a full. You have a Venus face. So Venus has kind of the enthusiastic of life. It has a glitter in their face. Sometimes they smile wide and there's dimples.
It's my powder.
And bright faces, curly locks, flowing hair.
Yeah.
That's very Venusian. You know,
Really?
colorful dresses. You know, someone that's takes care of themselves. You know, and not that other people don't, but a Saturnian type of vibration, Saturn, would be more plain, perhaps wear no makeup. They could be, more on this, say, skinny side, lean, lanky. Then you can go on, if you want to get to the extreme side of Saturn, then it could be someone that has varicose veins and has a very tight jawline, and, long nose, and fierce and tight lips. So there would be and tall. Saturn is tall. If you look at in your hand, you would say this is the Saturn finger, the longest finger in the hand, it's the tallest person. The next tallest person would be the Jupiter, the index finger. And the Jupiter compared to Saturn would, comes up to, it'd be, 6 foot, 6'2". Saturn could be higher, taller than that. And Sun's medium height, ring finger. And then you get the little pinky finger, Mercury, that's the smallest stature. With Mars mounts are seen here. Mars is more like the fire plug energy, if you see, strongly built, mustache, although women could be Mars, they don't need to have a mustache.
Thank you.
But if you go to India, you see 90%, maybe 95% of the men all have mustaches.
Wow.
So
Okay.
very martial, very macho.
Okay. Okay.
And so by describing Mars energy as compared to a Mercury, Mercury's got the same size, a type of person than Mars, but they have a different vibration to them. Mars is more a lighter side, let's say, less fierce, and it's Mars likes sense of humor. So it's people that laugh a lot, talk a lot. Mars is a talker, Mars is a salesperson. So you land in Florida, swampland. That's a bit of a crooked Mars. Crooked Mars when Mercury. When Mercury is leaning towards the sun, you could have crookedness going on in the person. A little bit of manipulation, liar even.
Wow.
So
it just gets so detailed that it's unbelievable that the day that you're born and the time that you're born can tell all that about you. It's just crazy amazing.
I know, it's amazing, it is. And within minutes, twins can be born and that they could have different charts. Because everyone has, we know, the same sun sign for 30 days, but the rising sign changes every 2 hours. And so, in astrology, the rising sign is like a belt that's going around the world, around the earth, and every 2 hours a new sign pops up. So you have 12 signs, 24-hour day. So every 2 hours a new rising sign comes up on the horizon of the earth. So the sun is what is in that same sign for a month, but the rising sign is every 2 hours. So twins could be born 10 minutes apart and could have different rising signs. Wow.
So you can pick like a time of day that you want to do something. Let's say that I wanted to give a party for a friend.
Yeah.
But I didn't want anything to be pulling at me at this time. I wanted everything just to flow.
Yeah.
Then I could come and ask you something like that, and you could get that detail.
Yeah, you get the right time. It's called the prajna, and it works. I mean, someone's asked me, that about going to the bank, raise money for a mortgage on their house or whatever, and I could see that the morning was not good. The planets were all in the house of resistance, and that would have caused them trouble to go and have that meeting. But I told them after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's much better, and you would probably get it. So they said, well, I mean, what can be the difference? I have a meeting appointment either at 10 o'clock in the morning or 1 in the afternoon. What's the difference with the same manager? But we don't know how the vibration works. We don't know the manager, he, she could have had a fight in the morning with their partner.
Mhm.
And they get in and you're the first face they see.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're not going to be happy to bend over backwards to please you. But at 1 o'clock, they've had their lunch and the phone calls are made and they've made it up. You know,
Wow.
and then you come in at 1 o'clock for the appointment with the stars more in a better alignment.
Mhm.
And there's the manager sitting there and quite happy. We don't know that.
So do you use this? Do you look at your stuff when you travel? I know you travel
Yeah.
a lot. You've been all over the world. And I mean, that would be hard to do. Like sometimes you have to go, I don't have a choice. I got to go on this day and this time. I don't have a choice. But at least you're kind of prepared for it, I guess.
Well, yeah, or you try not to fly out. I try not to fly out in Mercury retrograde,
Okay.
which is planet that goes off orbit every 3 months, goes into erratic orbit, and a lot of people know Mercury retrograde.
A lot of people know about that.
In case you
Mercury
don't, in
retrograde.
case you
Yes,
haven't
they
heard
do.
about it, it's it's all about communication or communication breakdown when it retrogrades, which it does every 3 months. So it seems like it's
If you break everything you touch, it's
You
Mercury
lose-
retrograde.
lose everything. So I try, but sometimes you're making a flight or a plan 6 months ahead of time, and you get a little, my travel agent will call me and said, when do you want to go? And I'll say April, May. Now I've learned 6 months ahead of time. So damn, booked it during Mercury retrograde.
Mm.
So, but the thing is, you also get tested because we don't necessarily want to hide under the bed every
Mhm.
3 months when
No.
Mercury retrogrades.
We live in fear at that point. We don't want to do that. We live in fear 6 months out of the year.
So the thing is, you try your best not to, but usually it comes up. That's when things are happening too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this time around, for instance, I was so sick and tired of traveling on Air Canada because there were always delays, and the last time they tried to, actually they overbooked and wanted me and a few other passengers not to get on that plane.
Mm-hmm.
So I booked this time around, the Blue Delta Airlines. And see, I didn't know Mercury wasn't retrograding, but there was a transit on Mercury during that day, which caused a lot of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to the airport, all of Air Canada computers were down for 8 hours, and no flights were going out.
Oh my gosh.
Delta was fine. So
Wow.
sometimes you can learn through your lessons, and
Yeah.
different airlines disappoint you, and other
Mhm.
times you could work with the planetary energies.
It's like watching the weather. I always tell people that. That's what astrology is like.
Yeah.
Readings and astrology is kind of like watching the weather and saying, what am I preparing for? What can I either avoid or what do I want to go toward?
Yeah.
You know?
Except astrology is more accurate than the weatherman. Or astrologers.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
Um,
Way more accurate than, it doesn't take a lot to be more accurate.
Yeah, so, and so it's always good to know, like people also to start projects or to purchase homes and all of that, what's aligning in their chart.
Mm-hmm.
So these are questions that can just help you not only affirm
Mm-hmm.
where you're going, but they
Mhm.
can also sort of add a better timing to events so that they would
Mhm.
basically manifest in a better way for you.
That's amazing. So if you haven't got a reading from John Fyfe, go get your reading and find out what are your good times of the year, what are your good times to travel, what are your good times to raise money or go for that job that you want. We're gonna end it here. And this is Lori Saturday Trask, and this is Lori Saturday Live. Thank you guys. Come back and see us again.
What a great show. Thank you.